clear coating the headlights, and we're going to show you guys how to do that step by step. So just, like, comment, subscribe, and let's get this video started. Okay guys, I'm going to give you a little bit of a look at the car we're going to be working on today. It's my buddy's car. Like I said, we're going to be restoring the headlights. As everyone knows, the Civic headlights, after a while, so many years, they get old, they turn yellow, and it gets harder and harder to see at night, regardless of what style headlight bulbs you use. So now I'm just going to give you guys a little kind of almost like a step-by-step on what steps you need to take to remove the bumper and stuff like that to get to the headlights. We're not going to be removing the headlights out of the car, so we're going to show you how to paint them, wet sand them, re-clear coat them in the car, and just make it a whole lot easier. So the first thing you're going to do is you'll come over here to either side, driver or passenger. Right here up in this upper corner on the inside, you're going to have a Phillips screw. You're going to take that out on both sides. Now once you remove that screw, all you're going to do is you're going to just grab a hold of the plastic and you're going to give it a firm tug, and it'll pop right off just like that. Then once you do that both sides, and you have all your clips removed from underneath the car, you come to the top to your coolant plate cover. You have clip here, clip here, clip here, and also a clip here. Now once you remove those clips, all you do is just grab a hold of it, slides it right off. And once you get that off, you'll come right here behind that cover and two bolts. You'll have an Allen head here and an Allen head on the opposite side. Ours has a 10mm because we've had to fix it before in the past because the bolt was lost. So once you remove that, then the whole bumper itself will actually just come right off. And like I said, when you get to the sides of the car and you take those screws out, you just want to grab hold of it and you'll just give it a good tug and it'll come right off. And so what we're going to do is I'll give you guys a look of what we're going to be using, what you'll need to do this whole process. So you're going to need 10mm extension ratchet, a hex key. This is a 5mm. You'll need 1000 grit sandpaper, some masking tape, and clear coat. What you're also going to need is a bucket of water for your sandpaper because you're going to be wet sanding. Okay, now as you can see, we got the bumper taken off. We got it set over to the side. So now the next step we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to tape the fender up around the headlight. And the reason you do that is so when you're putting clear coat on or when you're sanding, you can make sure that no overspray gets onto the fenders, and when you're sanding you don't accidentally catch the fender and tear up your paint or scratch it up. So now what we're going to do is we're going to tape everything up. We'll come back, we'll show you what we did on that, and then we're going to explain to you what you should do when you're sanding and what you should not do when you're sanding, so you don't go too far and destroy your headlights to where you cannot fix them. Okay, now you can see we got it all taped up, and what you can do is to kind of get it cut in around the edge, as you can see and probably in the time lapse, just take a razor blade and just trim it up, get it as best as you can, and you want to tape it back a good ways on both of the headlights. That way, like I said, you make sure you don't scratch, you make sure you don't get any type of overspray. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start with the process of wet sanding. And we're going to show you and tell you and teach you on how to properly do it without destroying your headlights. Okay, so now we're going to get our bucket with our water, our sandpaper. See, it's good to let your sandpaper soak a little bit to get it wet, to loosen it up. And all you'll do is fold it, and you'll just go back and forth just like that across the whole headlight. And as you can see, as he's starting on it, you can already see the oxidation coming off. And you, like I say, you're just going to go back and forwards, and what you'll do is after you do that for a while, and you want to keep your paper wet, you always want to keep it wet. You don't want to let the paper dry out. You let it dry out, then you're going to start scratching your lens, and once you start scratching the lens, at that point there's almost no saving it. And like I said, if you look, it's just coming right off of there, and you just keep going back and forth, and you'll get a good feeling of when you've reached a point where you need to stop, because you'll feel that there's a roughness to the headlight as when you first start. and that roughness will go away as you're sanding. And as you're just saying, you see how he went a little too high and caught the tape. That's why you use the tape, so it's there to help protect your paint and from scratching it or taking it to bare metal. Then you don't have to worry about rusting and fixing it and all that. And like I said, you'll just keep going back and forth like that. Now this takes probably a good 15, maybe 20 minutes per headlight. And you'll just, like I said, you'll keep going back and forth at it like that, just at the whole headlight, and you'll get the feeling of when enough is enough. And then once you think enough's enough, what you'll do is you're going to clean it. You'll wash the headlight off, and we'll do that, and I'll show you what it looks like after it's done sanding. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set you guys back up on the time lapse. That way my buddy Jerry here can do this headlight. I'm going to go ahead and get started on the other headlight, and you can just see the process of it. And once we get them both sanded and done and cleaned, or actually I'll show you us cleaning them off so you can get a look, a look of what it looks like after it's been wet sanded. So like I said, I'm gonna put you guys on time lapse and we'll get this process going so you guys can see what it looks like to restore your own headlights. As y'all seen with that little time lapse, we got both headlights sanded down, and you can see this is what it looks like after you sand it. And as you seen in the first part, when we first started sanding, it was really yellow and like a brownish look. What that is, that's your oxidation coming off. So now once you get to a point, you'll see like this, when you're sanding, it'll start turning white, and that's when you know you've made it past that oxidation and you've made it into the clear coat. Now once you hit that point, you can sand a little bit more past that, but you don't want to go too far. You don't want to get all the way down to the plastic. You still want to have some type of clear coat left on there. So now what we're going to do, I emptied our bucket out, fresh clean water. I'm going to take some rags and we're going to wipe one of them off, and just to show you what it looks like after it's sanded and cleaned off of what you're going to see. Now, as you can see, he's wiping it off. It looks foggy and dingy and just still like it, almost like it did before. But as you see, as he's drying it, it becomes like a white clear fog over the whole headlight. Now, when you see that white clear fog, what you'll do is you'll get a real good look at it. And when you're looking at it, you'll see if you missed any spots, if there's still any yellowing, or if there's any low or high spots, and just the headlight being out of shape or from the old clear coat, you'll see that right off. Now we're going to go over here and wipe the other one off too, so you can see that one as well. And like I said, you can see that it's all white because we got down to that clear coat spot. And let me tell you guys, that tape that we put on there has definitely helped so far. It's kept us from scuffing the paint with the sandpaper. And like I said, I mean, if you really care about your car and you care about your paint, you're definitely going to want to do some taping off. And as you can see this side too, as he's drying off, as the water dries off, you'll get a solid fog over it. And I mean, you can see there's still water drying up on it, but as it's drying, you see there's a solid whitish fog over the entire headlight, and that's what you want to see. Now, what our next step is, that they're sanded, they're dried, they're clean, and you can clean them off more than once just to make sure it's really clean before you actually start putting your clear coat on. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start applying the clear. Now that we get the headlights cleaned off, they're dry, there's no dirt on them, so now we're going to start applying the clear, and I'm going to show you how we're going to apply the clear. And what we're actually using is a Rust-Oleum clear. You can use Dupli-Color, you can spray out with paint gun, you can do it however you want. It's just how we're going to do it. It's how it's easiest for us, and we're going to show you what we're doing. So what you're going to want to do first is you're going to start off with a light coat. You don't want to go heavy right away. Your first coat is always going to be your lightest coat. So the first thing you're going to do, and you want to keep it in one direction. You don't want to go up and down or sideways. You want to keep it in one stroke all the way across, and you want to overlap when you're doing so. You don't want to just do one stripe and do one stripe, because then you end up with what they call a tiger stripe, and it'll look bad. What you'll do is you'll overlap, and I'm going to show you how to do that here. And what you do is, when you start at this corner, you want to start spraying like where your tape is. You'll start before your tape and go onto your headlight, and you want to hold it back, you know, a good 10-15 inches. You don't want it real close, because then you'll get runs. So now this is what we'll do. And then same with this side. You'll start before the headlight and you'll come onto the headlight. And you just keep going like that until you cover the whole headlight itself. And see, that'll be your first coat. Now we'll go over to the other side and we'll do the same exact thing. Start on your tape, come onto the headlight, and go all the way. Make sure you go all the way to the end of your headlight. Same thing on the other side. Start before your headlight, come back, and make sure you're overlapping what you just did. That way, like I said, you don't end up with what they call a tiger stripe. Now, as you can see, that is just the first coat right there. Alright guys, we're going to start on the second coat. You've seen the first coat, we did a light coat. This coat we're going to do a little bit more heavier. Now I want to explain something. Depending on how bad your headlights actually are will depend on how many coats of clear you need to put back on after the sanding process. These headlights here were pretty bad, but not nearly as bad as most cases that I've seen. So this one here is only going to take 2 applications of clear coat. So now we're going to put the second coat on so you can see what that looks like. We'll give it some time to dry so you can see what the after result is after it's dried, and then we'll get the car put back together and let you guys see what it looks like then. And then you're going to do the same thing as you did on the first coat. You're going to start on your tape before your headlight, and you're going to do overlapping to make sure you do not cause a tiger stripe. Now we got both of them done. Now we'll wait, let them dry, and then you guys can see what the outcome is. I mean, you can see just from where we started to where it is right now, there's a huge difference in what it looks like. And you guys can do this at home too. And here, this is what we're actually using. I'll give you a look at the can. And like I said, you can use whatever you want to use, but this is what we have, so this is what we're using. So we're going to let this set up, dry for about 15-20 minutes, and then we'll start putting the car back together, and you guys can see the finished product. Alright guys, so we got the front end back together. You know, I hope what we did here was very informative, and it helps you guys to be able to do this on your own, so you don't have to go out and pay for new expensive headlights or pay an expensive shop for, you know, just simple little stuff like this you can do at your house. The total cost of this was probably $20 and just a little bit of our time. Like I said, I hope we went into enough detail. I hope we explained enough to where you're able to do this on your own. And now that the car's back together, I want to show you what it looks like. We got all the tape pulled off, we got the bumper and everything back on. So now we get to see what the final product looks like. Okay, here it is. This is completely back together. And you guys, like I said, you guys remember what it looked like before. I know the sun's shining on this side, but you can really see it really brings out just how clean and clear those headlights come out from where we started from. You know, when we started, you couldn't even see the inside of the lens of the headlights, and now you can. And like I said, you guys can do this yourself at home. I think it was probably less than $20 that we spent. All you're going to need is 1,000 grit sandpaper, a can of clear coat. Like I said, you can use Rust-Oleum like we did. There's also other different companies out there to make it. You can get whatever is easy for you to get, and you just need some masking tape. You don't have to take off the front bumper and stuff like we did. You can completely tape it all off. It just makes things a lot easier with the parts out of the way. But yeah, guys, this is it. This is the final product. So if you guys like this video and you want to see more videos like this, just go ahead and give us a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe, and turn your bell notifications on. If you guys want to keep up to date with what we're doing.